We are watching WWE Tables, Ladders and Chairs live on Justin.tv and indeed giving our thoughts as these matches finish. We've just seen the triple threat match with Swagger, Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler finish. It was for the Intercontinental Championship and it's been a strange finish. Swagger and Kofi struggling to grab that belt, ended up with the belt falling, and out came Ziggler to grab it and take it home with him. I think ultimately a very interesting match with some very dangerous spots. Each guy was putting it over, performing at a great level. You had all sorts of stuff like a sleeper hold applied on top of the ladder. Even Vicky Guerrero got involved and nearly took a massive bump. It was good stuff.
Good stuff as the opening match comes to a finish here at TLC, the last pay-per-view of the year. Very solid match, very fast moving, didn't get boring at any time. Only saw two ladders come into play, one of the main ones that are about 20 foot, and the other smaller, kind of 6 foot one. Our predictions a little bit off tonight. We thought Swagger might have walked out as the new Intercontinental Champion, but a lot of good stuff in the match. Vicky on top of the ladder, trying to balance, she did a good job. And Kofi with a good display of athleticism as always. Wasn't too fond of most of what Ziggles did in it, but then again he did retain after Kofi and Swagger attempted to take that title from the top of the ladder. It fell to the ring mat as Ziggler made the scramble and comes out still the Intercontinental Champion.
Ziggler retaining, and certainly not the finish I thought. I was expecting to see Swagger go over, become the new IC champ. Not this time, maybe next time. Kofi and Dolph, bit of an old feud now, kind of sick of seeing it, but hopefully there is new direction in that story to come over the next few weeks. But overall I think they really put on a solid performance. They opened it up well, and I have to say, between the dangerous spots and the good ring work overall, and well booked, I think overall, I'd give this one 4 out of 5 maybe.
I would give it, I think it was very solid. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 too.
And we've just seen Beth Phoenix and Natalya defeat Lay Cool in a Divas Tag Team Tables match. I was very happy when I saw this on the card. Great opportunity to showcase extreme diva action, and Beth Phoenix a perfect person to do this with. Natalya also very good, an excellent tag team, these two girls together. Of course, great heat as well for Lay Cool, and it's always a plus point when they do something like this to turn up the heat and make these Divas matches just a little bit more interesting. I certainly felt they did that with this particular match. There was all sorts of stuff going on, again like the first one, very dangerous, and indeed that gimmick table eventually got involved.
I thought this match was very strong. I'd say the only epic fail was that table not breaking at the end, but it was Natalya who snapped out of the little buzz she was in, realising that she wasn't defending that title as she was in a tables match with the Glamazon, jumping from the top rope through the table to ensure that Lay Cool, as we had kind of said, that it would take the two of them to probably break the table, which it did in the end, even though the first time around they didn't even go through it. But you can't account for that kind of stuff on live TV. So with it saying that, doesn't really mean fuck all that they won.
The finish was very interesting because initially both Lay Cool fell from that turnbuckle, landed on the gimmick table, but in fact it didn't break, but it seemed like a botch. The crowd were marking out and about to crap on it basically, but then it could be seen that the finish was indeed Natalya jumping on top of that through the table, and there it was. So let's see how that continues. A lot of people in the chat room here live on justin.tv/WrestleDope hoping there'll be a heel turn of some kind, maybe Beth Phoenix turning on Natalya. Maybe that's going to be the future of this angle. Maybe we're going to see those two at each other. Perhaps it's a WrestleMania match for the Women's Championship. I would hope to see that at some point in the future. A fairly forgettable tag team match this. some early beginnings with Santino being worked over by Slater and Gabriel, eventually getting the tag to Kozlov, who didn't really clean house. He also got beaten down, so it was a 100% loss really for those guys, until eventually you had it all work out to where Santino about to go for that Cobra, and then, like you say, the finish that I missed, sat, watched it, didn't see that happening. Suddenly Nexus in the ring, and that typical beatdown. As you say, they've been put over. The biggest thing this year, really, along with Cena, they've shared the spotlight with him. So again, they get that put over, and they walk out of it with a dirty finish. No changes to that tag team title belt situation. I think maybe tomorrow night on Raw, you're going to see something happening there. But overall, what would I say about this one? I think I would give it probably a fairly low 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5 for the tag team title match. I'm going to go 1.5 out of 5. I thought it was pretty atrocious across the board, and a horrible, horrible finish. No reason for it. Fill in the space. I suppose has to be done somehow.
They have to fill out those minutes. Last pay-per-view, a lot of space at the end, and they obviously decided, let's just stick it in there and keep that tag team thing going. I suppose also serves as a good spot for the rest of Nexus, to get them involved, to get them in the ring while we're checking out this pay-per-view, and maybe they've got more involvement to come later on tonight. John Morrison has just taken on Sheamus in a ladders match, and it's resulted in Morrison getting to the top of that ladder and grabbing that contract. He's now the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. As for this match, well, it started with a lot of John Morrison beatdown. Sheamus took it to him for a large part of the match, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes, and indeed after that, well, you had some sporadic comebacks from Morrison. Tried to put in a bit of offense. Unfortunately, Sheamus kept going, kept beating him down. Then both guys got very, very inventive and creative with the ladder. Some big bumps with Sheamus falling outside of the ring onto a ladder that was over the ringside table and the ring. And again, so much danger here. Both guys putting it over well, and overall I'm impressed.
Yeah, both of these guys have had just solid matches, I think, across the board, from the last pay-per-view to some TV, and right here again tonight at TLC. John Morrison definitely at the start took a lot of serious bumps from Sheamus, and Sheamus working that leg for the entire match, but it was Morrison in the end that proved he's ready to take it to the next level, and a big win and a huge night for John Morrison as he becomes the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. I don't think he can believe it himself, but good times for Jomo. I'm happy for him.
The speculation earlier here in our room, and indeed with ourselves, is that it was going to be a case that you're going to look at perhaps Morrison versus Miz at some point, and that of course would result in maybe further matches to come. Now if Miz retains tonight, that's who Morrison's going to be taking on. I can't see Morrison versus Orton, so I'm going to say at this early stage, like we did earlier, that perhaps Miz is going to take that belt, setting up a perfect feud. Now, so much can be done with Morrison versus Miz. They've got video packages from the dirt sheet and all those matches. They could build a huge angle here. Maybe it might not involve a belt. Maybe WrestleMania is where it'll happen. Perhaps Miz will have lost the belt by then.
Yeah, I think we'll see it, no doubt, by April at the very latest. Miz and Morrison feud, as you said, either way. If even if the title comes off Miz, I don't think it will tonight, but possibly around Rumble time, between Rumble and Mania, and set up for the big fish when Trips gets back and needs to do his thing. But for now, it looks like Miz and Morrison is going to be the future.
So it looks like with Miz retaining that belt, that John Morrison, just been given that #1 contendership for the title, is going to be the next man to take him on. I can't say a whole lot about this match. It really didn't interest me. It was very, very slow. I suppose compared to those other earlier matches, all those table and ladder spots had been used up really, and they didn't do a whole lot with them. You had a bit of a botch on the outside when Orton had to put Miz, or at least was about to try to put him on that table, just lay him there, and one of those legs collapsed, and you know, that was about the only thing I can really remember in this fairly dull match.
Yeah, it was fairly dull, to be honest. The Miz retains. We thought Alex Riley was going to get involved somehow. He did on numerous occasions, sometimes for the better, most of the time for the worse. But in the end, definitely for the better, as Orton put him through the table. The Miz retaliated and got his own back, and switching the places of Alex Riley and Randy Orton while the ref was knocked out. But
the decision has been reversed here live.
So I'll just shut up.
Well, it's not much of a difference. I suppose it's a disqualification, so Miz... Is it a disqualification or is it just restarted? It's restarted.
Yeah, it looks like it's restarted.
Love those swerves.
We'll have to retape this one.
I'm going to leave it running because this is our...
live.
This is our cast iron reactions to this, and I think we should be leaving that in because it shows how we can be swerved, and they've restarted. Did they absolutely need to restart this? Orton's through the table. Same result. We can cut all that and leave it in.
Again, Alex Riley comes into play with Miz pushing Riley into the ring ropes, where Randy Orton was on his way back into the ring on the outside and takes the fall down and straight through that table that was set up. So I think that was actually very well done.
So we did record our thoughts on what happened at the outcome of this Miz versus Randy Orton match, but the referee, he restarted the match, and that led to a very quick finish, which had Orton going through the table. Now clearly what they've done here is they've kept Miz very, very strong. Initially a dirty finish, so Orton sort of not suffering that kind of loss of momentum or strength. Another finish then put in there where he did in fact go through a table. So an interesting kind of a change, but not a full and definitive victory over Orton. But Miz keeps the title.
Yeah, Miz keeps the title. Kind of a boring match, as we said, the whole way through. Nothing really too special, but I like the way they put that little twist on the finish, just to make you believe that anything is possible and that Orton could have actually regained that WWE title, but it wasn't to be the case. And again, it was Alex Riley who saves the Miz, as the Miz retains the WWE Championship.
That's exactly it, and replays now of that switch where Riley had gone through the table. The referee was taken out, Orton put into place. That was the initial finish. The replay then, the match restarted, is what we're seeing right now. And it led to Orton going through the table. So they can continue this. Morrison is the man in the frame now, as he's going to maybe take him on a roll. Of course, a week of live TV to come. And as you said earlier, lots of surprises could be happening.
Lots of surprises indeed. I thought it was nicely planned out, though, the end of that. Very, very well said. And a great little swerve the way it was set up. I didn't see it coming at all. But very fast as well. It wasn't like, it just happened in a kind of a roundabout setup just like this. Everything was in place, and it just literally within 10 seconds it was all over. So nice little touch for what was a pretty shit match.
That's it. It was a little boring as the match went on, but the finish saved it. Always nice to be swerved and to be surprised. They changed the finish, and they did it very quickly. I suppose, again, I'd give it maybe 2.5 out of 5 there.
I would give that one, I'm going to go 2.5, just for the swerve.
Rosa Mendes on the pay-per-view, being put together with Alberto Del Rio. This is what I've been waiting for. We have just watched the four-way match with Kane, Alberto Del Rio, Edge and Rey Mysterio. Initially this one starting off with almost these separate matches that were going to happen on their own. So you had Edge and Kane doing stuff outside the ring, followed by Alberto Del Rio and Mysterio. They were up to other things as well, but overall they just kind of made those matches happen as they would. Then guys started to sort of properly get competitive, and all four started to mix. A bit of stuff on the outside, more action with the table, some chairs as well brought into play, but not too much chair action because Cena and Barrett is next.
I thought that this was very good match. Started off, as you said, with everybody kind of sticking with their storylines, and Edge and Kane continuing on from where they left off with the whole SmackDown deal, and Mysterio and Del Rio continuing on where they left off with their deal. But yeah, very good match actually, as far as it goes across the board, taking in everything from tables to ladders to chairs, and some nasty bumps from pretty much everybody. I didn't really think that it would have been Edge. Maybe originally I might have predicted, but for some reason I was all about Mysterio with this one. So what happens now? Edge and Kane, they can still continue on that deal, can't they?
They can keep going with it, and yeah, there's still a bit of mileage because, well, Kane can challenge him for that belt in upcoming TV, and maybe it'll make it to another pay-per-view. Another Kane v Edge, probably they will, because they panned it out this time with the extra guys being added to the match. So just one more, I suppose. Royal Rumble. Edge is not going to be in it now, and I doubt Kane will be either. But this match had again some quite dangerous spots. Now that Alberto Del Rio bump off the ladder was very dangerous.
Insane.
And so many other little bits like that where, you know, you would wonder whether this guy was legit hurt or not. And that's been the theme of the evening several times. I certainly have felt like I've been in suspension of disbelief. And, you know, if they're doing that, then they're doing something right. And I think every match has had a moment like that.
I thought Mysterio actually did very well in this match too. I think sometimes you can kind of write him off when he plays it safe, but I do like when he steps it up, and he can do when the spotlight's on him. And I think in this match he kind of proves why I suppose he is where he is as far as kind of company stats go. But unlucky for Ray that it wasn't to be his night tonight, and the Rated R superstar, shockingly I have to say, for me anyway, becomes the new world champion.
I wonder, was this what they were going to do anyway? If it had just been Kane versus Edge, was it likely that he was going to take the belt? I think probably so. But like you say, you know, they wanted to maybe try this again one more time, and you know, we've had a simple victory but effective. Edge now the world heavyweight champion, not pinning anyone, not getting a clean 1-2-3 over Kane. So plenty of room to go ahead with this in the future as that match wraps up. And I think maybe I'd give it about maybe a 2.8 out of 5.
I'm going to go with a 3.2 on this one. I thought it was very solid.
We've just seen a horrible segment with Dashing Cody Rhodes and the Big Show. They had to bring Santa on TV. Why didn't they wait for TV then? Why did they have to do it at the pay-per-view? Santa turned out to be Big Show. And then we had a beatdown with Cody Rhodes coming out the worst. Now I expect he's going to be on live SmackDown, taking on Show this coming Tuesday.
You heard it here first. The big feud going forward, Dashing Cody Rhodes and Big Show. But tonight, Big Show sporting the Santa gear, dressed up and giving out copies of his new feature-length film, Knucklehead. And the crowd's certainly happy to be receiving a few free copies.
John Cena has taken on Wade Barrett in a chairs match, and not very surprisingly, Cena has come out on top with a 1-2-3 after an interesting, chatter in the room called it and said maybe musical chairs would happen, and indeed with 6 chairs lined up facing that opposite way, we had an attitude adjustment and Barrett laid out on that cold hard steel, and now Cena's taking to him with chairs. Now, so this storyline finally ending up in a nice match like this, and of course this saved for the very end of the pay-per-view. Miz versus Orton, obviously not important enough to be in that position, neither the 4-way match with Del Rio, Edge, etc. So still Cena, the company man, getting that pay-per-view end even without a belt involved. But of course this Nexus storyline, it's been so strong and it's been so prevalent at this point that it is actually worth that final match position.
Yeah, once and for all, I think Cena's tied up any loose ends that he had with Wade Barrett in the Nexus, and after what seemed like an eternity of a feud between both John Cena and Wade Barrett, plus John Cena and the rest of the Nexus, tonight John Cena gets his revenge, and as he continues to put the beat down on Wade and introducing him not only to the chair that was in the ring or on the outside of the ring, but pretty much every other chair in the arena. Also,
this match, like a lot of these tonight, taken all around the staging area. At one point Cena was up on the Titantron. Barrett beat him out that far before Cena started taking back the power, if you like. And again, both guys got their offensive. It was competitive in both ways. Of course, so much gimmickry involved with chairs and tables. No guy really goes fully over. I mean, he could win the match, but it's not quite the full put over. But in this case, well, Cena doesn't need to be put over. He's just pulled a whole tower of chairs down on Wade Barrett, who's buried under some form of trolley. But yeah, Cena's gone over, and I mean, that's what you expect at the end of one of these.
yeah, no sign of the rest of Nexus tonight. Oh no, there was, but they were all taken out by Cena, weren't they?
Yeah.
So Cena had a game plan all along. C-Nation with that game plan, and a good game plan it was, because if it wasn't for that, then Cena would have been in some serious trouble against the rest of Wade and his boys, but that wasn't to be the case. And John Cena definitely sending a message to Wade Barrett and the Nexus that he is back and he means business. And going forward, will it be the end of Wade Barrett and the Nexus, or will Wade be putting the blame on the rest of his stable? But I'm sure we'll find out all those answers tomorrow night on Raw.
An interesting point. He's got to ask them what went on. It was Cena who laid them out, and why could he, do that? I mean, 5 guys taken out by 1 guy, but it is Super Cena, and this is what we've come to expect at this point. So that's the end of this pay-per-view. Let's talk about it overall now. You've heard our thoughts on these individual matches as they happened. Looking back on it now, I think overall TLC 2010 was quite a good pay-per-view, and I'd actually say good to very good. Now, it started off with opening matches with that triple threat, Intercontinental title, Ziggler, Swagger, and who else was in that?
Yeah, Ziggles, Kofi, and Swagger, yeah.
How could I forget it? The never-ending Kofi-Dolph feud was segued into a Swagger deal as well. I thought Swagger was going to come out with the belt, but they impressed very early on, and I think the point I'm trying to make is that these early matches, with these hungry competitors, they always seem to just be put over better than the last few main events.
I think that match probably stole the show, really. Well, Sheamus and Jomo was really, really good, but I think the first match was terrific and definitely a lot better than the Miz match, and definitely a lot better than the Barrett match with Cena too. So props to all three of those for putting on a really solid display and a really good opener to the pay-per-view. I think it set the tone nicely. Was it followed? Not always, but a good display. And what's his face? Seagulls is coming out on top one more time, so good things for him.
That's right. Now, this opening frantic pace was continued with Divas, amazingly. Tables tag match was involved, and not too far after that Intercontinental title. That's the next one I remember, and I know that it was also quite good. Always interesting to see Divas involved with tables. That's another plus point before it even started, was they were prepared to do something different like that. Other highlights, I certainly rate that Intercontinental title match as being one of the interesting ones. Wouldn't be too gone on the World Heavyweight match or also the WWE Championship match. But actually, Sheamus versus Morrison, those guys put on a great show as well.
Yeah, I think the first match and that match with Sheamus and John Morrison were the two solid ones tonight. Both of those guys, as I said earlier, had some really good matches, and the last pay-per-view match was great, and this one, likewise, was also great. I'm happy for Jomo that he's finally got his push, and I think Sheamus will be just fine. He's King Sheamus, so there'll be no fear of him. So for both those guys, good times, and great match as well. Definitely up there as probably one of the highlights of the night for me.